You're up against the same opponent again. The most dangerous enemy you'll ever face isn't someone else. It's the version of yourself that keeps choosing comfort over growth. It's the force that has held you back from reaching your goals, proving your doubters wrong, and building the life you know you're capable of. That force is a lack of discipline. Think of this channel as your training ground. This video is your workout. All you have to do is commit. First, we need to understand the opponent you're fighting. Then we'll break down how to build real discipline in a way that actually lasts. Sun Tzu famously said, "Know your enemy and know yourself and you will never be defeated." Before you can master discipline, you have to recognize the patterns inside your own mind that keep pulling you off track. Here are 5 of the biggest reasons people struggle to move forward and why learning discipline changes everything. Be sure to stay until the end for one final insight that ties it all together. The first thing to understand is that your brain is wired for comfort. Whenever you try to improve your life, take on a new challenge or step outside your routine, something inside you naturally resists. That isn't because you're weak, it's because your brain evolved to keep you alive, not to help you reach your full potential. For most of human history, survival meant staying safe, finding food, staying warm, and avoiding unnecessary risks. Anything unfamiliar could be dangerous. That programming is still running today, even though your biggest challenges are no longer predators or harsh environments. That's why your mind often pushes you toward what's familiar instead of what's possible. The moment you reach for something bigger, doubts begin to appear. You imagine everything that could go wrong. You start questioning yourself. Your brain believes it's protecting you, but in reality, it's protecting your comfort zone. The tricky part is that your inner resistance often sounds reasonable. It feels like caution, but many times it's simply fear disguised as logic. That's why you have to become selective about which thoughts deserve your attention. The second obstacle is the fear of success. Most people talk about the fear of failure, but success can be just as intimidating. What happens if your life actually changes? What if new opportunities come your way? What if you outgrow the version of yourself you've always known? Real success brings responsibility, uncertainty, and change. Your brain often prefers the familiar, even when the familiar isn't making you happy. So even if you're fully capable of reaching your goals, your mind may still try to slow you down because success feels unfamiliar. Understanding this tendency gives you an enormous advantage. You can't overcome an enemy you don't recognize. The third obstacle is low self-confidence. Maybe you've spent years doubting yourself. Maybe you grew up without encouragement, dealt with constant criticism, or absorbed limiting beliefs from people around you. Whatever the source, those experiences can leave behind a voice that questions everything you try to do. It whispers things like, "Who do you think you are? You're not good enough. People like you don't accomplish things like this." Those thoughts feel convincing because you've heard them for so long, but they're not facts. They're outdated stories your mind keeps repeating. Breaking free from those beliefs takes effort, but it can be done. Don't assume every thought that enters your mind deserves to be believed. Many of them are simply old programming that no longer serves you. The fourth obstacle is chasing quick rewards. Left unchecked, your brain naturally looks for whatever feels good right now instead of what's valuable in the long run. It constantly compares immediate comfort against future benefits. Working out sounds uncomfortable, so skipping the gym feels easier. Building a business requires late nights, difficult decisions, and patience. So scrolling through videos about entrepreneurship feels more rewarding than actually starting. Preparing a healthy meal takes effort, while fast food delivers instant satisfaction. When immediate pleasure becomes your default, long-term progress always loses. Without discipline, you're constantly trading the future you want for the comfort you can get today. The fifth obstacle is feeling overwhelmed. The moment you set a meaningful goal, your mind often tries to picture every step at once. Suddenly, the entire journey feels impossible, and before you've even started, you convince yourself it's too much. Your brain has a habit of turning small obstacles into massive ones. It exaggerates challenges because it believes that's the safest response. A simple task becomes a huge mountain in your imagination. Real discipline solves this problem by shrinking the focus. Instead of carrying the weight of the entire journey, it teaches you to concentrate on the next step. We'll get into exactly how that works next, along with an important clarification about your inner opponent. Your inner opponent isn't some separate force working against you. It's the part of your mind that's trying to protect you based on old programming. That's an important distinction, so don't take this the wrong way. The goal isn't to fight yourself or criticize yourself. The goal is to understand yourself. Most of the time, the biggest thing standing between you and the life you want isn't the outside world, it's the patterns inside your own mind. Those inner voices are incredibly persuasive, and if you never learn how they work, they'll quietly keep you stuck. Instead of judging yourself, become a student of yourself. Pay attention to your habits, your reactions, and the stories you automatically tell yourself. Once you understand your own programming, you can start changing it. Now that you know what you're really up against, it's time to build discipline the right way. These next 7 principles will help you move past limiting thoughts and start making consistent progress. The final one is the most advanced, and it can completely change the way you approach discipline. The first step is having clear goals. This cannot be an afterthought. It's the foundation that everything else depends on. Set aside real time to define exactly what you want. Don't rush through it. If you don't know where you're going, discipline has nowhere to take you. Your goals should cover every area of life that matters. Create a clear vision for your health. Define what financial success looks like. Decide what kind of work gives your life meaning. Think about the relationships you want to build and the person you want to become. As your life evolves, keep refining those goals instead of forgetting about them. The second step is breaking those goals into smaller milestones. Big goals are inspiring, but they can also feel overwhelming. Your brain struggles with vague ambitions because it doesn't know where to begin. That's why you need to shrink every major objective into measurable, realistic targets. Suppose your goal is to get into the best shape of your life. That's exciting, but it's too broad to guide your daily actions. Instead, define specific outcomes. Maybe you want to reach a certain body fat percentage, add lean muscle, hit a strength milestone, or complete your first marathon. Then keep breaking those milestones down until each one turns into clear actions you can actually complete. The third step is building routines and daily habits. This is where discipline starts becoming automatic. The secret is making your habits so simple that they require very little decision making. Every time you stop to debate whether you should do something, you give your excuses another chance to take over. Reduce the number of decisions, and you reduce the amount of resistance. Whenever possible, create systems that carry you forward almost automatically. For example, if your goal is to exercise consistently, make the process as frictionless as possible. Join a gym that's close to home or work. Sign up for scheduled classes so someone else has already planned the workout. Instead of deciding what to do every day, your only responsibility is showing up. Once you're there, you simply follow the program. The challenge isn't completing the workout, it's walking through the door. The same principle applies to money. If you're working toward financial goals, automate them. Set up recurring transfers into your retirement account, brokerage account, or savings before you have the chance to spend that money elsewhere. Build your budget around investing first instead of hoping there's something left over at the end of the month. Every meaningful goal has a handful of habits that make success almost inevitable. Once those habits become part of your routine, discipline stops feeling like a constant battle. Rather than trying to become stronger every day, you simply make the resistance weaker. The fourth step is removing temptation. Anything that repeatedly pulls you away from your goals needs to be taken seriously. If something consistently feeds procrastination, distraction, or self-sabotage, don't rely on willpower alone. Change your environment. Your mind will always try to justify keeping temptations around. It will tell you they're harmless or that you'll have more self-control tomorrow. But the easier distractions are to access, the harder it becomes to stay focused. Whether it's junk food, alcohol, endless social media scrolling, or anything else that regularly knocks you off course, reducing your exposure makes discipline dramatically easier. Social media, constant digital distractions, gambling, and anything else that repeatedly pulls you away from your priorities deserves a serious look. If you're preparing to overcome your own limiting habits, why surround yourself with things that make the battle harder? Don't leave obstacles scattered across your path and expect willpower alone to save you. Your future isn't going to build itself. No one is coming to create your best life for you. The choices you make every day and the habits you repeat will decide where you end up. The fifth step is making self-care a priority. Discipline requires energy. Every day you're making dozens of small decisions, and every one of those decisions depends on the condition of your body and mind. If you're running on poor sleep, dehydration, bad nutrition, or constant exhaustion, those internal battles become much harder to win. Take care of the fundamentals. Get enough sleep, stay hydrated, eat food that supports your energy instead of draining it. Spend time outside, move your body. The better your physical condition, the easier it becomes to stay mentally resilient. Don't make the mistake of sacrificing your health in the name of productivity. That's not discipline, That's burnout. If you want to stay consistent over the long run, your body has to become an ally, not another obstacle. The sixth step is learning to move quietly. One of the biggest mistakes people make is announcing every goal before they've earned it. The more you broadcast your plans, the more outside opinions, expectations, and unnecessary pressure you invite into your life. Real transformation often happens in private. When you keep your focus on the work instead of the attention, you remove distractions that can feed your self-doubt. Every opinion, every question, and every expectation adds another weight for your mind to carry. That doesn't mean you have to isolate yourself completely. Having a trusted partner, mentor, or close friend who genuinely supports your growth can be incredibly valuable. But in general, build the kind of discipline that doesn't depend on applause, validation, or accountability from everyone around you. Let your results do the talking. Quiet progress is often the strongest progress. The seventh and most powerful step is learning to embrace discomfort. This is where discipline reaches another level. Growth always comes with resistance. Every time you push yourself beyond what's comfortable, your mind sends warning signals telling you to stop. That's normal. But once you've built the right environment and systems, you can begin changing the way you interpret that discomfort. Instead of seeing struggle as a sign that something is wrong, start seeing it as proof that you're growing. Over time, you can train yourself to appreciate the challenge itself. Take exercise as an example. At first, the workout feels like something you have to survive. Your muscles burn, your breathing gets heavy, and your instinct is to quit. But eventually, something shifts. You stop chasing the finish line and begin enjoying the effort itself. You welcome the sweat, the fatigue, and the challenge because they remind you that you're becoming stronger. That mindset extends far beyond the gym. When you learn to value the process instead of obsessing over the outcome, discipline stops feeling like punishment. You begin to understand that fulfillment isn't waiting for you at the finish line. It's found in the work you do every single day. That's one of the biggest mindset shifts you can make. Real peace and lasting satisfaction don't come from finally arriving somewhere. They come from becoming the kind of person who keeps showing up, even when it's difficult. Once you reach that point, your old limiting patterns lose their power. Your inner resistance becomes quieter, your discipline becomes stronger, and the life you've been working towards starts becoming your reality. If you're ready to build even more momentum, the next video will show you a set of powerful daily habits that make staying consistent dramatically easier.